Good morning. I'm Joe. I'm a commercial loan officer. I have had experience on all sides of real estate investment transactions. I've got a decade of experience in construction and several years as a contractor doing my own projects. I have been a borrower, an investment borrower. I have brokered many loans, and I've worked for a few different real estate investment lenders, private lenders in this space. I currently work for a very large nationwide lender. In fact, one of the biggest with some very, very cool programs. I'm really excited to be an employee here. I guess I don't want to mention it because this is my personal media, and I don't want to represent anything that large company, anything for that large company on my personal media. Just kind of want to keep those separate. But you can always reach me at my direct phone number, my cell phone number, 202-854-9653. That's 202-854-WOLF. My LLC is Lone Wolf. And you can email me at joe@crelonewolf.com. Reach out anytime. In fact, if you have a copy of the calculator that I'm going to demonstrate today, then you already have my email. Call or email anytime. I'm here to help and answer questions and solve problems for you. Now, what I want to do today is provide a demonstration of the rehab and rental loan calculator that I've put together for you. This is a sort of a refined version of the commercial loan sizer loan calculator that I've built over the past several years for use in my own work. And this is the calculator. In fact, after tailoring it for you, it's very clean, well organized. This is the calculator that I use for all of my deals. So when I'm going through a deal, I input the information, run the numbers, and then I save it to a client folder. So for instance, under your records on my computer, I would have a folder for you, and I would go in there and save this calculator in your folder with the property address in the title. So that's how I stay organized. I keep track of the numbers. There's room for notes in here to keep track of important things or possible issues that we want to stay on top of. So let's just dive right into it. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, share screen. I'm not very good at this Zoom tool yet. Now let's see. I think my screen view comes along with me. Let's just put it right there. Here's the calculator. We're on the rehab tab. There's a separate one for rental loans. It gives us a little bit different math. Both of them are going to have the borrower information. If you're a broker, then you put your client information in here. For yourself, you can put your own information in here, and you can provide this right to a loan officer. Ideally, I hope you're coming to me because I'm looking for business and I'm always ready to help. And I'm very skilled at getting unique deals done. But at any rate, this is your tool to use. Send it to your loan officer with all your information in here. They can go through and find all the details that they'll need right off the bat. That's one of the main challenges with loan origination. It's just getting all of the details quickly, efficiently, and accurately. So you can put in your information here and go through just your personal info as far as contact info, credit score, cash liquidity. This is always something we like to see, whether you have $30,000 in the bank or $130,000 in the bank. Just put that right there so that we know what we're playing with. That'll tie into the cash to close estimator and exactly what you need to show in your accounts. So keep an eye on that. Back over here, experience. There's generally two details that a commercial loan officer like myself is going to look at when we qualify you for your loan amount and your interest rate. We're going to look at your credit score, and then we're going to look at your experience with owning and managing investment real estate. Now, there's a few different things that other companies look at. This is a new addition. The company that I currently work for, we get to look back at your entire lifetime history of owning and managing investment real estate. If you did a flip with your dad back in 1982 and your name was on title, we get to count that. Most lenders, almost all similar lenders in this space, are only going back 36 months. You'll see that's the next one down, 36 months. Rehabs that you had ownership in the last 36 months, I get to use your entire lifetime. So that's a distinct advantage. Now, that's the key here, is that you need to show your name on title, either directly, like I purchased this in my personal name and then used my money to fix it up, or through an LLC or a corporation. If the LLC, for instance, was on title, we can show that that was the owner of the property. Then we just get the document showing that you were an owning member of the LLC or corporation. So that ties your name to title. So there's the two things. It has to be, you have to be owned on title, and we count up how many of those you've got. So you can input each of these. They're pretty self-explanatory. Rentals that you currently own, spec builds, that's speculative new construction. The people who have experience in that, of course, will recognize the term. And then the property information, there's a place to put the full address, the state that it is, and this references an online database of state, just flat income tax, the state property tax. And it's not very accurate. Property tax is much more complicated than this. But if you are taking a wild guess at it, this at least gives you something to reference. So I actually don't use that very much anymore, but it is a handy tool. I typically go online and find out the precise number so that I can input it right here under property taxes. Anyhow, you can put in here the type of asset you've got, and you see you've got several options from single family, 2 to 4. A lot of lenders call 1 to 4 unit single family, all the way up to 4 units. Multifamily is 5+, etc. Condo, mixed use, and GUC is ground up new construction, going from the dirt up. We can change if this is a purchase or a refinance, and you'll see that that changes the cash to close estimation, drops that down payment out for that. And then it prompts a purchase date. If you're refinancing the property, lenders are going to want to know when you bought that property. It changes things whether you bought it within a year or if you've owned it for more than a year. So you can simply put that date in there. Now I'm going to change this back to a purchase, and say we've got a 2 to 4 unit, and we need to communicate this information clearly to our loan officer. We want to tell them we've got a 3 unit property, and that's going to change some math in here and give you some tools to calculate things. So there's the place where you can put all of that information. This info kind of waterfalls for multifamily and multifamily CapEx improvements. I'm not really going to go over that right now, but it is here and available if you are investing in multifamily. Now, the loan detail, we're going to start entering some numbers. There is a space, of course, to put in the purchase price. This is also where you put in the property value, the as-is value if you're doing a refinance. The LTV, the loan to value, that's how much money we're getting when we close the loan. When we put ink to paper and sign the documents, that's how much is going to get wired to our account or paid towards the seller. Then there's the budget hard costs and soft costs. You don't have to use both. You can simply put in one and there's your total budget. But if you've got a project where you want to differentiate the hard costs for materials and labor in the hard cost line, and then you want to also put in there that you've got permits, architect, what have you, you can go ahead and add that there, and that's going to calculate for your total budget from the 2 lines. For the sake of speed, I typically use just 1 line unless it's provided to me upfront, hard versus soft costs. And then the ARV, or after repair value, we're going to enter that there, and keeps track of a couple of other things here. The loan to ARV, that's in a couple of places, sort of a remnant from my earlier versions. The rate, whatever rate that your loan officer is telling you you're qualifying for, or what you'd like to get, you can communicate that to your loan officer. And then the origination fee, the points that you're going to be charged for doing the loan, right there. Now, notice there are gray cells interspersed in here. Each of the gray cells is intended to be a hard enter from you. You're telling the calculator what you're expecting it to use for calculations. So watch for the gray cells. Those are going to indicate, well, of course, that's for CapEx. The gray cells are going to indicate where you need to enter information for the calculations that you're trying to do. Okay. Next to that, we've got the loan detail. Next to the loan detail, we've got rental detail. This is kind of a forward look into the numbers that you're going to be working with if you want to hold on to the property after renovating it. As a rental, you can input the information in here and get a preview of what you're going to be looking at for your takeout refinance loan as you hold on to that rental property. On the rental calculations tab, there's a lot more. So if you're just buying a turnkey rental, this is where you would want to go and enter all of your information here. It's going to tell you those key details, DSCR for amortized and interest only. And it's going to have you put in a rate here. These days, a couple of years ago, I was closing these loans at 3.5% interest rate, even for non-owner occupied investment loans. These days, most of these that I'm pricing out are around 8.25%. You can get it below that, but most of them are around 8.25%. The cool thing about DSCR loans is it's actually based on the cash flow of the rental property rather than your income or anything like that. So no matter where the interest rate is at, if it doesn't cash flow, the lender won't close the loan. So at least that's a little bit of a safety mechanism for you. If the property qualifies for the loan and it can close, then at least you're going to be breaking even. At least you're going to be breaking even on that property. A little aside there. Let's go back to the calculator. So this is just a little bit of a preview, not super important for the rehab calculations. What's more important is this loan ratios guide right here. Now, you'll notice two gray inputs here for the cost basis, target loan to cost, and target LTARV. That is loan to the after repair value. So it's the relationship of our total loan amount compared to our expected after repair value. And there are going to be maximum percentages that you're going to be able to qualify for. Speaking with your loan officer, hopefully me, on the phone, and talking about your credit score and your experience in investment real estate, I'm going to be able to tell you that you qualify for example, 85% loan to cost and maybe 70% loan to ARV. So those would be the maximum ratios on your loan to the cost basis or after repair value that you can qualify for. And it's important to know what you can do with those. For example, I put in 70 instead of 75, and you see a couple of red flags pop up here. Up here, there's the loan to ARV that's in the loan detail. And then down here again, it lights up our target that we typed in. And it also tells us there's a red flag over the maximum loan per LTARV, loan to ARV. So if that lights up as a red flag, you know you're over the maximum and you'll have to dial it back. Yeah, okay. My brain got a little twisted there. Our maximum loan per 70% of our after repair value is $252,000. But right now what we got in here is $255,000. So we're $3,000 over it. Just demonstrating what the calculator does. Some lenders will allow you to do self-funded rehab in case you wanted to get, if you qualify and you wanted to get this day one LTV, that amount of money towards the purchase of the property. They'll allow you to get that, but you have to stay under that maximum 70% loan to ARV ratio as we have in the example here. They'll let you self-fund a portion of the budget, and then they'll fund the rest, whatever fits into the maximum loan amount. So this is, I guess it's a complicated issue that I shouldn't touch on here because it's just a demonstration, but this is generally known as borrower funds in first. So this is your responsibility to pay for that $3,000 before they'll start paying out on the budget that you're financing into the loan. But let's say that the maximum for you within these is actually 80% on the purchase. You're at 250,000. You're well within the maximums. You see, if you are within the maximums, the red flags and the yellow flags go away, and you know that you're good. So, for example, again, over here, let's say that your experience qualifies you only for 80% loan to cost. Now, that cost basis is very simply your purchase price or your as-is value, but more typically purchase price, plus your total budget. It's this number plus these numbers. So right now we've got a total cost basis of 250 plus 50. We've got a total cost basis of 300,000. 80% of that is going to give us a maximum loan amount of 240,000. Now, we've entered this as our maximum LTC. It's going to tell us what we've got up here in our loan structure. It's telling us that we're well over that. And it's going to tell us our target, our day one amount, our day one LTV for target. This is our target. And this is going to tell us where we need to be to hit the target loan to cost. And if we see, we type that in there, 76%, what it tells us right here, then the red flags go away. We are at 80% LTC. It says structured. So structured means what's up here. And it tells us we're at the target and we're good to go. We qualify for that. And we're not going to run into any problems in underwriting. Now, the original copy of this starts out by saying that the day one LTV equals what it suggests right here. You can overwrite that, but just for sake of expediency, when you receive a copy of this, I have this copy saved on my desktop with these automatic calculations already put in there so that I can enter information and it'll cascade calculations and fill it in for me. If no red flags come up, great. The other one that's in here is the ARV. This is an automatic calculation that you'll find right down here. Because I haven't gone through this section yet. It'll put in an automatic calculation based on what's known as entrepreneurial profit, based on the purchase price and the budget that you're investing in the property. It's the expected sort of minimum return on investment that you can expect to get out of the deal. So that is sort of a break-even point. If you're only getting the break-even point, you're a wash and you did the project for fun or for practice. So essentially what you're going to want to see is, well, there's my minimum that my ARV needs to appraise for. What I really want is for it to come in well above that so I can make some real money. And in fact, what you see down here in the pro forma section, there's a bunch of stuff here that is probably information for another video, but you'll see that there's another sub-highlighted box right here where we can take the expected amount of hold time, which is going to take our expected sale price at 400,000, and it's going to subtract all the holding costs for month by month. It's going to take the interest-only loan payment. It's going to take taxes and insurance for that time, and the direct costs for utilities and various other things, whatever we enter in our calculations. The selling costs, I've got the average 5% in here, but if you're able to sharpen the pencil and find out more precisely what you can expect for your selling costs, you can input that there, and it's going to calculate all that and tell you what your actual cash profit out of the deal is that you can expect. So in this deal, if we buy the property for $250 and we put $50,000 into a nice rehab, and we can reasonably expect it to sell for $400,000, we're putting $46,000 into our pocket after holding costs and selling costs. So going more into the pro forma information here, a lot of this is for multifamily, but there are a couple of things that are helpful tools here, especially the ARV per entrepreneurial profit, just so we can keep track of our break-even point. What else? Yeah, most of this is for multifamily properties, 5 units and up. If we're doing a CapEx improvement and improving rents or something like that, it's going to tell us a lot of information. There's some rental stats over here that are along the same time, the same line. So if I've got, say, a 10-unit property, I can put in here, the standard is 10% vacancy. I can adjust my management fee if it's only going to be 3%. And direct expenses are those things like maintenance, utilities, public space utilities and things like that, lawn care, all of the direct expenses that are out of your pocket and not paid by your tenants. And that's what we put in there. And it's going to tell us all of the critical information for a commercial property, like net operating income, the cash flow before the direct expenses, and then the net cash flow, that's minus the direct expenses. It gives you the current cap rate based on the information that you put in up here. And then in the pro forma, we can actually, if we're improving rents, this is going to tell us how much better off we come out. So if I expect to get a 7.5% cap rate, you'll notice that cell is gray, meaning we should enter information there, and it's going to tell us a bunch of stuff. Notice over here, we get the NOI, the cash flow before expenses, and the net cash flow, things like that. It also gives us that over here. We've got the pro forma or improved NOI. Of course, this is nonsense right now because we're looking at a single family at 250,000, but and then it gives you all of those things based on your projected improvements to rents and values and things like that. So very helpful if you're looking at any multifamily properties or commercial properties. Now, another thing that you're going to find is very, very helpful up here is the cash to close estimator. And part of this is going to require that you talk to your loan officer, hopefully me, and get a few bits of information. There are a lot of closing costs and fees that are unique lender by lender by lender. For me, there's an upfront small fund control fee for a rehab project, but the flip side of that, the big value is that I don't charge, or my company doesn't charge draw fees as you're going through your rehab and you take out money to pay for the work you've done from your budget. We don't charge a draw fee for that. Most companies, they're anywhere from $200 to $350 every time you do that. So I'm saving you thousands of dollars with my my company. The way we do things, we don't have an underwriting fee. The appraisal balance, generally, that's going to be zero. Other companies, you might pay half of it up front and half of it at closing. So you can enter that in here and come up with an accurate calculation. Additionally, something like this at another company might be, probably not that much. Another company might be that. So you can hard enter that in here. It's not gray because it's helpful to be able to highlight and copy and paste this into an email. And I don't want the gray cells in there. They are still, everything in here, almost everything is overwritable. So those few things, you want to find out what those fees are for your lender, hopefully me. I'll be able to tell you right away what it's going to cost to do the loan. And that's more of an accurate representation for my company. But there are other things in here. So per diem interest depends on the day of the month that you close. So if you close on the 25th, you can tell this that you're going to have 5 days of per diem interest. That is simply the interest that is due on the loan on a single day basis on that first month that you close. If you close on the 15th, then there you're going to have 15 days for the remainder of the month, and you're going to have about that much due and payable in your closing costs. But if you close on the last day of the month, that becomes minimized, and you can kind of strategize for that. Okay, so there's the total closing costs with our down payment, our origination fee, our title and escrow, whatever that ends up being for you. You can enter that right there. Oops, that should really be, I guess not. You can adjust that. I guess that's another good point is that when you receive this, you're probably going to have all of these columns in the standard width. But if you simply go here and double click on that, it'll automatically expand it to where you want. I like H and D to be 1.75. So if you go and right click on the column, right here, G and D. I like to right click on the column and you go to column width, and it'll let you put in there 1.75. And that's just kind of the cleanest look, the way that I designed this. Okay, back to what we were talking about. There's your total closing cost, and then there's other things. Your insurance premium, generally, they're going to have you pay for your insurance premium for the year at close. And if you're doing a rental loan, a 30-year DSCR loan, you're going to have some tax, insurance, and association dues impounded or escrowed. A lot of people don't like the word impound. It's reserves of your tax, your monthly tax insurance, association dues, flood insurance, all those kind of things that are annual premiums or monthly bills that you build into your payment. You're just going to set aside a bit of that so that there's some buffer. I don't know of any lenders that do 30-year rental loans that do not require those. So it's good to have something in here. I have found over the years of closing these loans, there's generally 5 months worth of those. So that's going to help you see how much estimated you're going to need to pay at closing to get the loan done. So you'll see that the total closing costs with all of that, plus the insurance and impounds or escrows, you're going to get your total due at closing. There's another thing here, the months of liquidity. Many lenders require verification that you've got so much cash in the bank over and above your closing costs, your total due at closing. They need to see that you've got, a certain number of months of the payment, the loan payment on hand and ready to go. So there's a little bit of an insurance policy that you're ready to pay the loan right off the bat for at least half that year. And this is adjustable too. If they only require 3 months, then you can put that in there. I've seen mostly with most companies that I've brokered loans to 6 months. And that's going to tell you how much you'll have due out of pocket and payable. You'll write a check for that at closing. But then to get your final approval and be approved for closing, you need to show this total amount in your account. So they'll collect that from you right there, but they'll verify that in your account, which is a total of that, about $85,000 to show in your accounts to qualify for the loan. Now, let's say that we're talking about a refinance. If I go up here and I change this to a refinance, there's a place here for the payoff amount of the property. So we think it's worth $250,000, but I owe, was that million? No, it's 200,000. This is going to tell us what we can expect for additional cash due at closing, so you see, this goes to a minus number and it says paid at closing after all of the costs and loan fees and things like that. With your payoff, you can expect to have to pay about $22,000 to get that loan and borrow the $50,000 budget that you want to improve the property. And it changes from paid at closing and due at closing if we have something less than that. It changes to cash out estimate, cash to borrower estimated. So in this scenario, if you only owe $150,000 on it, it's going to calculate all of that automatically and say you can expect to receive, after all closing costs and fees, about $28,000 cash back to you out of the transaction. So this is a very helpful section of the calculator and help you keep track of what you can afford and if the loan is worth doing. Now, a little bit of a note section right here, and you can type in things that you want to keep track of or inform your loan officer of if you save this and email it over to them. And that's about it for the rental, for the rehab calculator. There's also a couple of tabs in here for a quick presentation. If you want to email the basic details and you don't want to send this whole spreadsheet to somebody, grab this, simply take all of the information that's in there, copy and paste that into an email. I guess we can take a look at, let's take a look at what that looks like. Now, if I go into the body of the email and I paste that, there you go with a nice organized presentation. It tells your loan officer the LTV, the LTC, and the LTARV right off the bat. Tells them the loan request for the day one loan amount, et cetera, et cetera. Tells them the property information, what type it is, your name, experience, and credit score, all that kind of stuff. And it's a very clean presentation. So there's also one of those for the rental calculator. And let's take a look at that really quick. This one's much simpler. Same kind of stuff for your borrower information, same kind of stuff for the property info. For this one, it's right now it's a purchase of a 4-unit property. You can see it's selected 2 to 4 units, and we've got 4 units, and we've got a purchase. Now we can go down here and get our purchase price and our loan amount. We're asking for 80% on the purchase there. The LTC and LTARV are not part of this because we're not putting in a budget. It's simply our purchase price or our as is value for refinancing it. And it gives us our loan amount based on our LTV. Easy as that. But what goes above and beyond here is we've got our property expenses. See right here, we've got our monthly rents. We enter that in however much we expect to receive in monthly rents for our 4-unit property. We're going to go up here and put in the expenses for taxes, insurance, HOA, any flood insurance. It's going to tell us a little bit of information, the principal and interest payment, just the base payment, principal and interest before we add any taxes and insurance. And then the PITIA, that is principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and association dues, breaking those down monthly and then adding them to the principal and interest, you get your total monthly payment right there. This isn't a guarantee of what it's actually going to be, but it is a helpful guide to estimate where you're going to land. And if you have, once you talk to your loan officer and you say, oh, okay, well, my rate is actually going to be 8.15, and he's going to charge me 3/4 of a point, 0.75, please, et cetera. It's going to change once you get more accurate information. It's going to give you a very, very accurate breakdown of your total monthly payment. Say you get you're estimating your insurance at that much, but it only ends up being, that much, then it's going to give you an accurate representation of your monthly payment. Okay. Below that, additionally, the direct costs. Up here in the section that's more for multifamily, you see there's direct expenses. That's going to take all of these right here. We've got monthly electrical, gas, water, sewer, anything else. Just kind of the general stuff that we usually expect. Those are your direct costs that are in addition to taxes and insurance, association dues, and things like that. They're still out of pocket for you, anything that's not paid for by your tenants. So you want to keep track of that so you know exactly how much your real world cash flow is that you can put back in your pocket at the end of every month. So the rental stats are going to tell you that. Something looks a little bit off here. I might have to check that calculation again. I recently sort of renovated this. I'll double check that calculation. So I fixed that real quick. Now this gives you the cash flow before the direct expenses. And then again, after the direct expenses. This is the real world money that you're putting in your pocket after paying the bills. It's giving you your cap rate, especially if we're talking about a multifamily property. Your cash on cash return is an important, what's the word I'm looking for? Cash on cash return is a measurement that a lot of real estate investors track primarily. It's a measurement of your annual cash flow divided by the amount of cash that you put into the deal. So after you put in $50,535 cash at closing into buying this property, your annual cash flow gives you a 15% return on your money, which is pretty excellent. Okay, so I think that is just about everything. Again, there's the rental presentation. If you're doing a rental loan, put all that together, copy all of that. And then you can paste that directly into an email and send this over. And it's going to tell them the DSCR. And if you're low on it, you can look at interest only DSCR. This tells them what you're looking for rate and points, all that kind of stuff, and the loan amount that you're looking for. Now, the last couple of tabs in here, there's a template for a rehab budget in case this is helpful for you. This is a well laid out, clean budget template, and that is important if you're doing a rehab and you don't have a good quality budget already. You want some detail in there to communicate with your lender and the draws team so that the draw process is easy. when the draw process is confusing and jumbled, that is a major headache for you. So definitely use a template like this to put together a good, clean budget. Now, comparable sales, this is something, just a real basic little calculation here. When you're verifying your after repair value, you can actually go in and grab the 10 closest sold properties to your subject property. I usually just go out in a slowly expanding spiral and find the sold properties. You can grab the purchase price, the square footage of that property, and it's going to give you the price per square foot. Now, if your loan officer asks you how you came up with that ARV, you can simply grab it. You can put the link for the listing of that property right here. Grab this, send it an email. Here's how I came up with that. And the way that actually works is not the best way to come up with your actual ARV, but it breaks it down into the average price per square foot for the 10 nearest sold properties. It takes your property square footage and gives you an ARV according to the average sold price per square foot, which is not great, but it's a decent guideline. It lets you know if you're on the right track or if you're way off base. So a little tool there that can be helpful. And that's the size of the whole thing. I know that was a long presentation. Reach out to me anytime if you've got questions or concerns. Again, my direct phone number, my cell phone number, 202-854-9653, and my email, joe@creloanwolf.com, and that's like a money loan. I hope you got something great out of that. Let me know if you find any bugs, any errors in here. I will certainly correct that and re-release the calculator to everybody that has it. Say, oh, we found a bug, all fixed. I think I've gone through this new redesign enough and found everything. I just found another bug back here on the rental net cash flow tab, but that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, concerns, or anything else that I can do to help. Talk to you soon. Thank you.